Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel, Kalanati. Today I want to talk about the most recent Penric and Desdemona story by Lois McMaster Bujold called The Assassins of Thasalon. Now there are like 8 or 9 of these out now, and I'm talking about the one that's most recent in internal chronological order. So I apologize if I'm not able to completely avoid mentioning previous events in the series. It might be a little bit spoilery for the series and previous things that have happened, but not for this specific book. If you are new to this series and want to know why I rave so much about Penric and Des, the first novella in the series is called Penric'S Demon, and I highly recommend it. That is the place to start. The Assassins of Thasalon came out in early 2021, and I finally sat down and read it after rereading The Physicians of Vilnock. And I was kind of wondering what this one would be about. It's actually a full-length novel, whereas the previous stories have all been novellas of varying lengths. This was actually a pretty complex story that brings back a lot of previous characters from other adventures and also name drops some others who don't actually appear. And I loved this very, very much. I would say that this primarily concludes a side story with Adelis, who is Penric's brother-in-law. He is a military general who has basically been exiled. He now lives in Orbis. He works for the Duke of Orbis, but he would like to go home, and he's presented with an opportunity kind of involving a coup, I guess, in Sidonia, or just a really massive power struggle that might fall out in Adelis's favor. But for Penric particularly, the plot is a god basically tells him he has to take a saint and a newly minted sorcerer back into Sidonia, where they don't really want to go, to deal with a sorcerer who has been misusing his demon. So in this world, it's very theologically interesting and the story is very theologically rich. But basically, this is the world of the 5 gods, and the gods cannot directly come into the world. They have to be invited in. They have to have a conduit. Saints are people who provide like this permanent conduit for their particular god to enact things in the world or to speak, basically. And saints are also the people who exorcise demons, and demons can possess people. They can become the writer, or they can be just hosts for a person and give them magical abilities. But in that case, the human, the sorcerer, is in charge of the demon. So you got a bunch of people rushing off to Sidonia. They don't want to be caught by the bad guys, but they have to confront at least one really bad guy because a god wants them to. I really enjoyed how this wrapped up a lot of side storylines, and I particularly liked that this one resolved what was going on with Adelis's long-term courtship of, what's her name? Tanar. We also get to see Bosha again. I freaking love Bosha. I do want to talk about one criticism I've seen of this book, and maybe some of the more later Penric and Desdemona novellas, and that is that there isn't a lot of tension in the conflicts because Penric and Desdemona are usually the most powerful beings in any situation. And the other characters, people like Adelis, for example, they tend to be the most authoritative or the smartest, the cleverest, or just flat out the most powerful in a lot of situations. Oh, and they're also often god-touched, so you know that they have the backing of a particular god, and that is a lot of authority right there. So what does this have to do with the levels of tension and suspense in the conflicts when you know that the best people are going into dangerous situations that of course they can get out of? And I actually think this is a valid criticism of the series, and in particular in The Assassins of Thasalon, it's pretty obvious. I'm not going to disagree with this at all because I see people's point for that. But for me, I kind of want to explain why I don't think that this weakens the stories for me, and it's just a matter of like what you're reading for, I guess. I don't read these books because I want to read about the conflict because I want to see people winning all the time, and that I want there to be a sufficient struggle in that journey. I mean, that can be very interesting. But for me, what makes this book, like The Assassins of Thasalon and pretty much all the others, so good for me, why I keep giving them like these perfect star ratings, is that I love a lot of the essential kindness and compassion and even mercy that is at the heart of Penric and Des's relationship and how they choose to interact with and treat other people. I feel like there's something almost healing about reading about people who are very powerful, who do have a lot of authority, who can do whatever the heck they want, but they choose to be kind. And that choice is often contradictory to what other people expect them to do. I will never get tired of Penric and Des surprising people by being wise and compassionate. Even to people who maybe don't exactly deserve it for whatever reason. So that's my 2 cents on that. These are definitely comfort reads for me, and not necessarily something I would recommend to other people because the battles are glorious or the conflicts are stunning. It's really like a long-running character study of the protagonists, and I think that appeals to a certain type of reader who wants the kind of traditional comforting fantasy and to really get deep into some of the characters' motivations and see them throughout the course of their entire life. Let me know if you have been reading this series. I love talking about it with other people, so leave me a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon, and until then, bye.